What's up, guys? Today we're talking about something a little different in the gaming world. I'm not trying to stunt on anybody or brag, but I've got a lot of games, and some days I spend a lot of time sitting here going through them, deciding what I'm gonna play. Sometimes I'll be like, yeah, I guess I'm gonna play that, and I download it. Then I play it for 10 minutes and I'm like, I don't want to play it. So, in the struggle to find a game to play, because it's not like they make Fallout 4 anymore, it's not like they make Skyrim anymore. I tried to play an RPG with an AI bot, specifically Grok. I find his AI to be the least invasive as far as telling me what I should and shouldn't be saying on there, as far as anything really. I'm sure a lot of you didn't know that you can play tabletop role playing games with AI. I did not know that. It just popped in my head one day to try it. Since then, just today, I've discovered that there's such a thing as solo RPG, which means I'm not the only one doing this, but other people are doing it in the sense that they don't even use AI. They will just sit at the table and be the DM and be the player at the same time, rolling back and forth. Now, you do you, but to me, that seems boring. I mean, the only way I could do that is if I was pretty much only dungeon crawling, which is mind numbing to me. The kind of RPG stuff I like to do is I kind of like to create my own RPGs. Uh, Sometimes out of situations like I'll just be a poor person starting in a random person, a homeless person starting with nothing with the clothes on my back, and from there I have to, you know, try to make something of myself without getting murdered or imprisoned for the rest of my life. And I do that in different time periods. I've done it in Roman times. I've done it in the times of when what's that movie? The Outlaw Josie Wales was going on. I've done it in the times of when all the pirate stuff was happening, like 1721 or whatnot, all kind of stuff like that. And it's different challenges each time. I've also done things like put myself into the scene of my favorite movies, like Salem's Lot, where I'm just a normal person who's moved into the town, and then all these vampire things start happening. And when I do things like that, I like to put a creepy ambience music on in the background. And of course, you tell the AI to change it up so, like, the vampires aren't hiding in the same spot. Things like that. And you have to pretend that you didn't know there was going to be vampires. And then another movie I've played is The Thing, to where you don't know somebody who's not supposed to be, who isn't what they say they are, and so eventually you figure out that that's happening, and you have to try to figure out who it is before they murder everybody and then murder the whole world. That's at the time I put out that video of mine on The Thing debate. That's why I did it, because I was playing that RPG with Grok AI, and it just, that debate popped into my head. But anyway, those kind of things, like, you can't really do if you're playing tabletop, just rolling dice back and forth. Because it's like, I'm saying to myself, who is the thing? Uh, When I know who the thing is. Because as a DM, I know who the thing is. And I know what the clues are. Because I've also played it backwards. I've played with Grok being the normal person and me being the DM for Grok, which Grok has a really hard time accepting. And, I have to know who's the thing ahead of time, and I have to decide what the evidence would be and why. And if this was investigated, when I have to basically plan it all backwards, because when they walk in a room, I have to know what's in there, and if they look at this specific thing, they'll see this, and they'll be A, B, C. And, if they should choose to investigate B, that'll lead to X, Y, Z, and then blah, 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 on down the breadcrumb trail. It can't be that, I think it's I think it's the butler in the kitchen with a candlestick, and I'm gonna roll to see if I really knew. That's not fun at all. It's just not. So that's my little spiel on playing tabletop with yourself, base versus having the AI do it. Uh, I'm making this video because I'm about to go on the Reddit and try to convince other people to play, because the AI, it just lacks. It's less than realistic. Getting it to be, especially Grok wants to make things like a storybook. It won't let bad things happen to you. It will let you get away with murder. Sometimes literally, doing things you shouldn't. All that craziness. Uh, it has a real hard time creating realistic difficulties in a world. You can describe a scene to you, yeah, but when you want to get outside of dungeon crawling, and even then, you kind of have to make rolls for both sides, because Grok will cheat for you. It will say people miss you or do a low amount of damage, and your hits always like decapitate steel statues and stuff. So yeah, that's that's where I'm at with this stuff. I've pretty much hit my limit with the AI. I can't get it to be realistic. I like to play with some real people, but the dungeon crawling, yeah, I did that when I was younger. But just going to a dungeon and I chop this dude, roll to see if I hit, roll to see that. I mean, to me, that's boring. You know, uh, having to go places and really figure things out. Not that I'm a detective or anything like that, but like Salem's Lot, all the vampire stuff happening, and at the same time you're trying to stack your cash and get prepared because you know there's going to be vampire stuff, and you're showing up in town with basically nothing. So you got to stack your stuff, and you're going to have to get some weapons and make friends, so that when your character finally knows, in quotation marks, that you can act, instead of being this lone person in the woods just sharpening sticks right before the sun goes down. Yeah, but that's where I'm at with it. So if you see this on YouTube and that kind of thing interests you, just holler at me in the comments.